You're listening to Reignite, a podcast. I'm Frankie.
I'm at a case Stormageddon.
I haven't run out of ideas. What are you talking about? Anyway, we still haven't quite gotten into the meat of the story, but we're getting there. We've started clearing out the basement of Darkspawn, we found some nifty trinkets to give our friends, explored the city of Amaranthine, such as it is, and opened up the way for the main quests. Also, we dealt with some smugglers.
Yeah, we are really kind of barreling towards the main story of this DLC, which, as I've said in the past, I vaguely remember as I rushed through it to get to Dragon Age 2, the actual sequel. I think the naming, honestly, if Dragon Age 2 wasn't considered, didn't have the number 2, I would just consider it this game a full next game. Although, I mean, some DLCs are 15 to 20 hours, so it's not uncommon, but this feels like a separate game. You get separate companions, nothing from your past comes back, except for Ogren, who barely counts.
Yeah. It kind of really annoys me that so much that you built up in the base game is left behind.
Yeah.
In Awakening. I would like a reference to who you romance. Oh, I'm surprised so-and-so isn't with you. And then you explain why they're not there.
Right.
Oh, where's your dog?
Yeah.
Seriously, where's my dog?
Yeah, it's one of those things where for me, I think for us specifically, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of that expectation also comes from Mass Effect, though. Although Mass Effect 2 wasn't out before this, I do think because Mass Effect was so lauded as all the choices matter, that when this game had choices, we assumed it would all be the same. And they never said this game would matter in the same way. They said choices would roll over, you'd build the world. But it was very much, this was always meant to be a bigger world, a world bigger than just your character, and not Superman's story or Superwoman's story in Mass Effect, right?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
If they had proceeded with this being just an entirely separate game, if they had just committed to a separate game, brand new character, and just stuck to that convention of new character every game, then it wouldn't bother me so much. But this is supposed to be the same character.
Right. Yeah.
I've built a past for this character.
Yeah.
They have the history already.
Yeah. I am curious, because in this game, when you pick your character, you have all of your abilities and you start at the level you left off at. I'm curious if you make a new warden, do you just have to level up from 1 all the way?
No, I don't think so. I think they start you at a later level, but I do not know what number that would be.
Right. And I'm just curious.
But I can't imagine they start you at 1.
Well, no, but I wonder if they start you at 1 from placement at least. You have to assign all your points, pick all your skills at once.
Probably.
And that seems worse to me because you haven't played this class unless you pick the same class as a different person, which is fine. But if you're picking a whole new class, I've done this in other games like Destiny and a few other MMOs where you get a boost so you can play with your friends at a later expansion. And now you have this character whose class you don't understand, whose abilities you have. And you're well, I guess I'll figure it out, which you can, but it seems frustrating. But I do agree that it does suck that because they give us the option to pick our Grey Warden and yet give us very limited options to relate to that original narrative. And it does just seem like an oversight.
Yes, everything you just said. But yeah, so, oh man, you know what?
What?
This is also kind of wonky because we don't have, camp check-ins.
Nope.
And we haven't, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out as we go. Let's just dive in.
Yeah.
There's some shit in the basement.
Yeah. So we're told by another one of the generals, the soldiers.
Sergeant Maverleys.
Sergeant Maverleys. A character I meet a handful of times, so my brain cannot retain. Tells us that it appears the Darkspawn might be coming from the basement, and if we give the word, she'll clear out debris and escort us down there so we can investigate. And so we do that.
Yes, we do.
She specifically references the building shifting because Dworkins, the mad bomber, blew up shit, which we referenced in the first episode of Awakening. And so that's why the structure is unsound, although we'll find out later also humans apparently are bad at stonework, but we'll get to that.
Does not surprise me, honestly.
No.
You've met humans.
And so we go into the basement. From a combat perspective, it's the same old, but we're there to kind of drive out the Darkspawn and figure out where they're coming from. And as we get deeper, we get to another caved-in tunnel, and our dwarven vendor from the surface who's working on the structure of the building, whose name I've already forgotten, comes down to tell us that, yeah, so there are a lot of tunnels. There's not just one. We can hopefully dig deeper and find the one tunnel that leads to the deep roads, but it's not. We can't do it here. There are too many, and we couldn't fill them all. And so...
That's not really what happens.
What? What are you talking about?
That's not really what happens at all. Like, that's a little of what happens. That's not really what happens.
Okay.
So what happens is after we fight our way through the basement...
Right.
We stop at a point where there is a cave-in.
Yeah.
And Maverly's end, it's not Dworkin, it's Valdrick.
That's
Valdrick and Maverly show up, and Valdrick does tell us, like, this is not gonna hold them out.
Right.
Like, I would have to seal this, but I think this does go down to the deep roads. And Maverly says there are basement entrances everywhere.
Oh, okay. Right. All right.
Like, this isn't the only spot. And that's when he says, well, in that case, we have to keep going to find a choke point.
Right. Where the tunnels...
So we can
like
cut them off there.
Yeah.
To make sure that they don't keep seeping into the basement.
This reminds me that I should leave the narrative descriptions to Frankie.
I was just looking at my phone and listening to Matt, like, and then Matt said whatever he said, and I was like, no, that's wrong. That is incorrect. Try again.
But yeah, and so we're stopped here because it is going to take them time to clean this debris so we can go deeper in. So we return to the surface while they work to remove the debris so we can explore further.
Yeah. Do you not want to talk about anything that happened in the basement?
when we first enter the basement is where we find the Mabari, right?
Yes, we find a Mabari with a note attached to their collar. I got really excited when I saw the Mabari, and I was like, oh, is this my dog?
Yeah, it was not.
No, it's just a Mabari that is sad and tired and has a note attached to their collar that somebody is trapped further in. And I have Nathaniel with me. Nathaniel says, holy shit, Adria, she practically raised me. We have to go save her.
Yeah, which is, I don't have him with me. So nobody says anything, but I decide we should go find her if we can.
And because you're a rogue, you were able to get into that creepy crypt.
Yes.
So get into the creepy crypt, and there are a bunch of sarcophagi, and Avar skeletons attacking us.
Yep.
There are 4 locks. We only find 1 key. We'll presumably find the rest of the keys as we keep going through these tunnels. We'll find out what's behind this door. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it's nothing ancient that will kill us.
Right.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen?
When we walk into the crypt, Nathaniel says, my mother always forbade us from playing in the cellars. Now I know why. And I'm like, yeah, because it's creepy as shit here. I wouldn't want my kids playing here either.
Yeah, fair.
There is a jail cell and a bunch of prisoners there, and I'm like, who has been taking care of you guys? You look very healthy.
Yeah. And they ask, can we go? And I go, yes, get out. And they just like, we're getting out of here.
And I'm like, did we not ask questions about why they were locked up in the first place?
I mean, we don't really get an option to, and mostly I was just like, get out before you die? Question mark?
Just like, okay, bye. It was nice to see you, I guess. You're right with the whole glossing over it. It is pretty boring. There's really not much. I am annoyed by the fact that it is broken up by your progression into the game.
Yeah.
And like, you have to do a little bit, and then you have to go play, and then you have to do a little bit, and then you have to go play. Just let me just do the whole thing.
Yeah, some missions that works for. I just feel like here it feels like an unnecessary roadblock a little bit.
Because, like, now I have to keep going back and forth, and I don't want that. I just want to finish it.
Yeah.
Anyway. Did you find the ore?
Yes.
Good. Found the Viridium ore and gave it to Herod.
Yes.
I also found the Howe ancestral bow.
I did not find that.
You probably didn't find it because you told Nathaniel Howe to get the fuck out.
Well,
so he
take his.
stole it.
Yeah, well, I told him to take his stuff and get out. So like, he wouldn't have stolen it. He would have taken it, which I gave him permission to. But it's fine. I get a badass bow much later on.
Yeah, I found the Howe ancestral bow and I gave it to him, and we had a very touching moment where he told me about how his grandfather was the last person to use it, and it has the Howe crest burned on it, and how his grandfather was a hero. Like, I have a lot of feelings about Nathaniel Howe.
It's clear.
It wasn't his fault.
I get it. I went based on how I felt in that moment, and I made a choice.
I'm just saying. I gave him back his family bow. I'm a nice person.
Sure.
So we head over to Amaranthine because we got nothing else to do in Vigil's Keep.
Yes. And it is a way for us to progress 3 of the main story missions as well.
And pick up a lot of side quests.
And pick up a bunch of side quests. The biggest one that we did this time while we were there before we get to the main quest stuff is there is a smuggler problem in Amaranthine, and it is a 2-pronged quest that the first time I ever did, back when I streamed it, I didn't understand that, and so I did part of the smuggler part, and then I went back to, what's his name, the guard captain, and tried to see what the rest of his quest was, and he went, "You're a murderer, get out of my town," and I went, "What did I do?"
Amazing.
Yeah. So I was smarter this time around. And so did you pursue Law and Order or Smuggler's Run?
So the smuggler, the shady character, is the first person to talk to you. So I went to see what he had to say.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was going to be like, business opportunity to use our smuggler tunnels for warden activities. But instead he was like, go threaten a bartender. And I was like, I'm not fucking doing that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's dumb.
I'm the warden commander. Excuse you?
Who do you think you're talking to? He talks to us when he first meets us like, I've heard things about you. Like, both of our warden commanders were shitheels, and we weren't. We were goody-goodies. So, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like, I will make a deal with the villain if it comes to the greater good.
Sure.
Like, I'll do it. But I'm not going to go threaten a bartender for you. What?
Yeah.
And he's like, can we just pretend that this conversation never happened?
Yeah, sure, buddy. Okay.
So when I go speak to the constable, he's just like, yeah, we're having a real hard time with smugglers. I'm like, I can fix that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help. And he's like, oh, great. Come see me when you found out more.
Oh my goodness. Like, let's talk a little bit more about this Law and Order Smuggler's Run thing.
Yeah.
So when you eventually do approach this suspicious character and he tries his sales pitch on you, but then he realizes that, like, oh shit, no, you're not on our side. He decides that he's gonna run away, and he, like, sets his goons on you. You kill, like, 20 to 25 people.
Yeah.
To get to this guy.
And you don't even get to him. And the worst part is you encounter him in the merchant quarter, and the base that he eventually runs back to is 2 minutes back, but like 20 minutes the other way around town.
He takes like a full circuitous route.
Yeah. It just
like,
doesn't make any sense.
I'm like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
Like, you're right by the entrance to Amaranthine. You could have just run straight out.
Yeah.
You could have left like one squad of goons and then ran.
Yep.
Why did we need to fight like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squads of goons?
Yeah.
Why?
Didn't matter. It didn't make sense.
So it's even more than I thought. It was like 30 people that we had to fight.
Yeah.
Why?
And like he would also stop running when a new squad of
And
goons
wait and watch to see what happens.
Yeah. I guess to loot you in case you die, but like really, why wouldn't you just get away? Then I would.
Why wouldn't you just go?
Because he eventually leads us back to his hideout where a locked latch is, which I can't pick, which is stupid.
Agree.
And then I clicked on it a bunch, and then I looked at the question and I was like, oh, I should go back to the constable. But like he led us to his hideout. If he just booked it, we would have never seen where he went.
My favorite thing is like I killed his goons so efficiently that he hadn't started running by the time that I finished.
Uh-huh.
So I was just keeping pace with him the whole time. And I'm like, bro, I am next to you.
Yeah, that was a little slower going for me as I only have 2 other party members. So
Right.
it takes a little longer.
Well, you made a mistake, didn't you?
Nah, not really. I'm excited for who comes. So the best party member is yet to come.
I know. You love your boy.
I do.
So yeah, we go back to the constable. He's like, I'm sure somebody's going to be guarding it. I'm like, I guess I should be able to just have my boy pick the lock, but okay.
Literally, we have a super strong dwarf who could probably break the door, or me who could pick the lock. Like,
or we did learn that there's an entrance through the pub.
Yeah.
Why wasn't that an option to go talk to the bartender and be like, hey, I know that you let smugglers through, and I will arrest you if you don't let me in.
Yeah.
Why wasn't that an option?
Yeah, it does make sense. But after speaking to the constable, we go back to that house, and the suspicious character from before who asked us to forget we had that conversation says, goes, oh, you'll never get in here, and then attacks you or whatever it is. And it's like, really?
For me, it took him 5 seconds to realize that I was there to fight.
Yeah.
So he's lounging for a full 5 seconds, and he's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I gotta do my job. And then you kill him, take the key, and go into the smuggler's headquarters, fight a bunch more smugglers, and then get to the smuggler leader near the docks. And he, there's not even a real conversation. He just talks at you and then attacks you, which is very weird.
Yeah, he does the same thing with yes, I have heard of you. Oh, let's fight.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay.
Okay.
Stab.
Yeah, I guess I'll kill you point blank with my rain of arrows.
Also, one combat thing, because I am such a terrible mage. I am such a bad mage. I forgot what spells I've unlocked.
Uh-huh.
So I was going through my spells, and I had something called Walking Bomb.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever used this spell?
No.
Okay, so Walking Bomb, it hits them with some damage, and then if you kill them before the span of the spell is up, they will explode in blood and viscera.
Oh my god.
And cause damage to whatever's next to them.
Amazing. And brutal.
And I didn't realize that that's what it did.
Oh no.
So I cast it on somebody and I'm like, stab, 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 and it blows up and I'm like, oh no. This is my new favorite thing.
Amazing.
So I reassigned powers because I was using the same 3 powers that you first get because I'm terrible at that. It just annoys me when I have all of these abilities but no convenient access to them while I'm fighting.
Yeah, because you can only put so many things on your quick bar, and so
yeah, and I'm I'm never gonna remember these other things that I have.
No.
I need to be able to see them at all times.
There's no direct progression here like in a lot of RPGs where you get an ability and then maybe 30 levels later you get the better version of that ability to replace it. All of the abilities throughout the whole game are pretty viable, and so you just have to choose what you want to use over something else. For me, I just got the one ability that I will now only use all the time. I got Rain of Arrows, which means I target an area
is really good.
and just shoot arrows down, and instead of painstakingly targeting individual enemies and trying to get in a hit before they fall over, I just do that and watch everyone drop. And I'm like, all right, great, next combat. I never have to do more than one rain of arrows in a combat unless it's a boss. And in that case, I don't use it because it's a single target. But it just changed my life. And so I took a bunch of abilities off my bars because I don't need that one. This one is useless. So.
Yeah, no, Rain of Arrows is good. And I also realized that I had a more effective cold spell through a different branch.
Uh-huh.
Not through the primal branch. So I was like, oh, let me try that. And it freezes 5 people at a time.
Amazing.
And I'm just like, oh, fuck, yeah.
Let's do that.
So So I'm using a little more magic this time around.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm still stabbing people because I can't not.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the next game yet, but I kind of want to be a mage. I don't know. I started a mage in Inquisition and really liked it because at that point, regular spells are just attacks like anything else, and it's much easier to be a mage in that game. A lot of the combat's streamlined in that game, but I don't know. We'll see.
I think being a mage in 2 is easier than in 1.
Yeah. I mean, yes, endgame still feels deeply complicated to me, but I guess we'll see.
One of us does have to be a mage, though.
No, I understand. We'll figure it out. But anyway, so where were we? So we defeat the smugglers. We go back to the constable. He thanks us, and we finish that quest. And so then there's a few other things to do in town with the brewing conspiracy. A random soldier comes up to us with a letter saying, "Hey, so and so would like to meet with you." And I'm like, "Huh? Is so and so the Dark Wolf?" And they go, "Oh, that's just a rumor. I don't know." Okay.
Yeah, it was Sir Wolf.
Sir Wolf something. Like, all right. And so we can go meet with him, and he is wearing like full armor, giant helmet, and he's, he says that he can help us. And you ask, how can I trust you if I don't even know you? And he's like, gives his spiel, right? His sales pitch, as it were.
I like that his thing is basically like, look, fuck Rendon Howe, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Which is a good way to start.
Like,
you want to get me on your side. That's the way to
I'd
do it.
I'd rather you be in charge than people who support fucking Rendon Howe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll hear you out. And then he asks for 50 sovereigns to get the information and get things done. And like, if it were any other game, 50 sovereigns are essentially gold. If it were any other game, I'd be like, oh, geez, that's a lot. I'll have to think about it. In this game, where I already have over 300 sovereigns because I don't buy anything, I just sell things and use the equipment from dungeons. I was like, yeah, here you go, have fun.
I bought a little bit because I didn't have like quite everything I needed to equip everybody, but I sell everything that I get.
Yeah.
So I'm in the same boat. Not quite at 300, but like I got a good amount.
Yeah.
I got a good amount. So I dropped the 50 sovereigns without thinking of it, and I collected more shit to sell. So
yep. And he says that he'll do his work and report back to us. It could take some time, and so that is the progression for that quest. And so now we have the quests, Shadows of the Black Marsh, The Righteous Path, and The Last of the Legion, which were the 3 main quests we got from our 3 associates at Vigil's Keep.
Yeah, let's talk about Last of the Legion first, because those are the people we encounter first. Colbert and his fucking friend.
Yeah, whose name I can't remember, but who at one point, so you're asking, so how this conversation goes is you're asking them about this deep pit they discovered, and how one of them fell in, and like how they survived, and how they comment on things that we've seen before, like that the Darkspawn are distracted, they're fighting, and so they didn't notice you. And then at one point, his friend with 0 context goes, "I like eggs."
Yeah, like, what? Okay.
In relation to what?
Weirdo. Now, when I approach these guys, I am playing a feminine character.
Right.
And of course, this man drunkenly goes, "I'm always up for some riveting conversation with a fine lady like you," or whatever he says. The comeback that is at the top of the list of responses was so good.
Oh, what was it?
"I'll rivet you to the floor if you call me that again."
Amazing.
Such a good comeback.
Such a good comeback.
And he was like, "Oh, I like him sassy." And I'm like, "I will stab you."
Yeah. This continues to make me think, I kind of almost think we should gender swap for the next one. I know we rolled random this time, but like, just so I can experience some of the stuff that you're experiencing, because I haven't at all in this game. That might be a fun idea. And also because I played I think I played as female Hawk in my first playthrough. But anyway, we'll figure it out. But just, I've been noticing it more in this game than, say, the Mass Effect games, which more of it was how you reacted to the instances, not necessarily Shepard. Whereas this, because you're a woman, because you're a mage, a lot of, like, and there's oppression in the Mass Effect world, but it's much worse in Dragon Age.
Yeah, it is.
You're seeing it so much more, and so I want to like experience it, because although I've experienced those kinds of things, I haven't in these games, and so I'm curious. But anyway, And so after we have this,
Yeah, sure, I'll share the trauma.
you're right. If this podcast is good for nothing else, it's sharing trauma. Put that on the tin.
You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about shared trauma.
I mean, it's pretty true, actually. So anyway, we get the details. This is in the Wending. No, this wasn't the Wending.
This is the Wending.
This is Wending Wood, and so.
Or is it not Wood?
No, this is.
I don't remember now.
This is not Wood. Wending Wood is where we find the other companion.
It's the caravans.
Yes, the caravans.
God, I can't remember. They're all like the same.
These locations suck. But anyway, so we get the details. They're like, we wouldn't want to go back, but you seem capable. Go ahead, have fun.
Yeah, here's the chasm. See ya, bye.
Yep. And so that's it for this until we go to the location. So then the next, the Righteous Path, we meet with Maravin, the head of the head of the merchants, and he's so excited to see us. He's like, thank God they sent someone.
Yes, the caravans are being attacked in the Wending Wood.
Yeah, and so he tells us about what's going on in the Wending Wood. The caravans have been attacked. They're unsure. I asked if it's Darkspawn. They said they're unsure. They just know that whoever has been doing it is not leaving survivors. And
like tearing people apart too.
Yeah, like limb from limb. And so we tell him that we'll go check it out, and he gives us the location so we can find where the caravans have been getting attacked.
One thing that I want to make sure doesn't get lost in the shuffle is there is a character that you can talk to before you talk to the Dark Wolf or around that time. It's just kind of lingering. Did you meet with a character named Namaya?
I did not.
Okay, so before you leave Amaranthine, I'm going to suggest that you look for this gal. She's a rogue hanging out near where you found the Dark Wolf. Yeah. It's Anders related.
Oh, cool. All right, I will do that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going through my notes. I have a note here that says Ogren has crabs.
Yeah, not useful. The party banter gets so much better once I get to remove Ogren and put 2 other people in.
Yeah. Well, because one improvement in Awakening is that you can't just start random conversations with your party members while you're out in the world.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm trying to click on this chest. I'm not trying to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, never.
Go away.
Never my intent.
But there are sparkly locations that will trigger a conversation.
Yeah.
So it gives you the option of if you want to have this conversation. So there was a sign for the market, and I clicked on it, and it was a conversation with Ogren, and Ogren was like, is there a chemist around? Maybe. And you're like, are you sick? And he's like, And then he starts to describe a rash. And I'm like, yep, nope, that's enough. And I got -6 approval from Ogren because I was like, nope, don't care.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'm like, don't care. Don't care even a little bit.
Yep.
Can't make me.
And so the last bit of quest progression here is we go to the inn, the same inn where we could have threatened a bartender and chose not to. And we talk to the innkeep, who tells us that Christoph, the other warden, had a room here, paid in for the month, but has not come back. And so we ask if we can have the key to see it. And the innkeeper goes, yes, you can have the key, but if you mess anything up, I'm blaming you. It's like, okay, fine.
I like how this conversation goes like, hey, have you seen Christoph? And he goes,
who are you?
Who's asking?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm his boss.
Yeah. And he's like,
so lose the fucking attitude.
Yeah. And then you can ask for the key. But then we get the attitude at the end. He's like, well, if you mess anything up, I'm telling him that it was you. It's like, okay, fine.
All right. What I like about this particular intro to questline is that it makes you work a little bit for it, but not overly hard. Whereas the other two is just it's a conversation. And I'm like, okay. I don't know why I needed to go find you to have this conversation. Why, whatever. Why couldn't you write a letter? This meeting could have been an email.
Yeah. Well, episode title.
This meeting could have been an email. But with Christoph, this could not have been an email because he's missing. So you have to do some investigation. And I appreciate that. It makes me feel like I actually did something.
Yeah, and like we have to explore his room. We find like his pendant, his wife's pendant, and like a letter to his wife and a pendant. We click on the map and it shows us his last location where he was going to explore at the Black Marsh and a few other things. And so like it gives us an opportunity to get to know him a little bit through exploration and then a location. I like the whole clicking a map and getting a location thing. It's fine when we get it from a conversation, but that feels more like we're doing the work kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm saying. So yeah, we find out that he was last heading to Black Marsh. So those are our 3 locations: Knotwood, Wendingwood, and Black Marsh.
Correct.
Such stupid names. I hate them.
Yes. For the bonus, I didn't do that yet because we hadn't talked about it. And so I didn't go talk to her. So we'll come back
I'll
to
leave
that.
it. Yeah. Let me look through my notes real quick and see if there's anything else for us to talk about. Dry is ghoulified. He told me good information, so I gave him the sovereign. You didn't do that yet. We talked about that. We talked about that. We talked about that. You didn't do that yet. Yeah, okay, good. We talked about everything in my notes. Oh, wait. Last thing.
Uh-huh.
Did you explore the inn?
I mean, no, I just went up to the room where Kristoff was. I didn't go in anywhere else.
Okay, I'm a nosy bitch.
Yeah.
So I went into all the rooms.
Uh-huh.
I went all the rooms and I took all the stuff. Because everything is mine.
Obviously.
I'm the warden commander.
Okay.
I own everything.
Okay, bitch.
So I go into one of these rooms and I thought it was a rat, and I was like, oh, look, there's a rat in the room. This isn't a very hygienic place.
Uh-huh.
But it was a ferret. And I was like, oh, it's a ferret. And then suddenly the ferret tried to attack us.
Oh, no.
And Ogren hit it, and then it exploded.
Oh, no, the ferret.
And I was just like, why did this happen?
Amazing.
I don't understand. So just so you know, there's a ferret that may try to attack you.
Okay.
And it may explode.
Good to know when we do round 2 at Amaranthine that I may have to fight a ferret.
You may have to fight a ferret. I don't know. This game is so weird sometimes.
Yes, correct.
I don't know what's happening. Okay, we're skipping our bonus. So for our next episode, we have 3 places we could go, Matt.
Yep.
We could go to Knotwood Hills, we could go to Wendingwood, or we can go to Black Marsh.
I mean, of the 3 of them, Black Marsh is my favorite.
Is the way you get you, boy.
Yes, and it's where we get one of my favorite characters. So my vote would be for the Black Marsh.
Okay. Unlike with base game, this is a little harder for us to like role play.
Yeah.
Because there's no like emotional attachment to anything. There's no like uncomfortable past preventing us from trying to go somewhere. Like,
yeah.
So I don't care. So I guess we meta it. So if we're meta-ing it, in Knotwood Hills, I think we pick up Sigrun. In Wendingwood, God, I can't remember her name.
I have it written down.
Elf.
It's Vilan.
Yeah,
Valana, rather. Valana.
And then Black Marsh is ya boy.
Justice.
Yeah. So, I have a very full party. Like, I have a tank, I have a mage, I have a rogue. So, I don't really care where we go. So.
I will vote for Black Marsh because I like that mission. I like how it's structured.
Black Marsh it is.
Yep. I have a fun story for you after we're done recording, though.
Oh, boy.
But so we'll head to the Black Marsh next. Please do that part of the game, and then we will circle back and talk about the Black Marsh.
Hell yeah. If you like what you heard here, follow us on social media. We're at Reignite Pod on Twitter, Blue Sky, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook.com/ReignitePod, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. Somebody bought a mouse pad recently. Congratulations.
It's me.
Oh,
I spilled iced tea on my mouse and mouse pad.
Was this the story that you were going to tell me?
No, that's something else.
Oh, okay.
But I spilled it all over my mouse, ruining my mouse. So I had to buy a new mouse, and the mouse pad was beyond repair. And so before I bought a generic one, I went, oh, wait, I think Redbubble does mouse pads. Because Teespring doesn't. I was going to buy a mouse pad of like my logo or something. But so instead I got one of our logo on a mouse pad. So it should be coming soon. So that was me.
Very nice.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I got so excited. I was like, oh, yeah. Congratulations, mystery shopper. You can also find us on Twitter at Frankie B. Writes and DJ_Stormageddon. And on Blue Sky, we're Frankie B. Writes and DJ Stormageddon, no underscore. I really think you should change your Blue Sky name to DJ Stormageddon, no underscore.
I could.
That's too many letters, but it would make me happy.
It's too many
if
letters.
You were able to.
I'm literally DJ_Stormageddon everywhere except Blue Sky. It's frustrating because they don't let you use symbols. And it's like, really? Maybe that'll change with a future update. Who knows?
Who knows? Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher. It helps us get seen so other people can find us.
Yeah, we haven't gotten a new review in a while. We would love a new review on your podcast platform of choice, especially Apple Podcasts. Every time.
I think we got one from Sam, but because my phone thinks that it's from the U.S., I can't read it.
Yeah, Sam, please email us. But no, seriously, these reviews really help. We get a little bump every time there's a new review and a new rating because more folks, it gets pushed up in the algorithm for more folks to see. And so, especially covering Dragon Age now and going from Mass Effect, our SEO is kind of wonky. And so I feel like most people are still finding us through Mass Effect. We had a few new listeners join the Discord, which I'm going to get to in a minute, because of listening to the whole series, which we're very grateful for, or because we're taking on Dragon Age. So thank you for that. But yeah, please rate and review whenever you can. We're also members of the Certain Point of View podcast network, as I was just talking about before. You can visit certainpov.com to find a ton of other nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. And you can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server where you can join in the conversation. That is also in the show notes down below, along with where to rate and review us. So grateful for the new folks who joined, who are excited to talk Dragon Age. I feel like Dragon Age, at least the first game, has been a little quieter. I know a ton of Dragon Age fans who really skipped the first game. A lot of fans I know who like jumped in on Inquisition because it was on like modern platforms. It was more like user friendly and all of that.
More accessible.
Right, more accessible was the word I was actually looking for. And so it's going to be a while since we get to that. So I'm grateful for those who are on the ride. I know a few folks who are replaying along with us. It's a lot of fun. We're hoping to incorporate more guests in season 2. Season 2 feels more bite-sized and mission-based.
Yeah.
And so I think we're really going to push for guests. I know Scott White, who's a good friend of mine, loves the second game and wants to join us and has covered it on RPG University. So folks like that we're definitely going to bring in. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that stuff. But thanks for being a part of the conversation. And if you want to know more about all of us and what we do, again, certainpov.com is the place to go.
As for what we do outside of this podcast, I continue to be but a humble PhD researcher. If you like what I contribute to this show, you can kick me a few bucks on Venmo at Frankie Brad is hella rad. Also, this is not a personal plug, but I'm going to plug it anyway because it's something I care about. There has been a reprint of a collection of queer Irish poetry called Queering the Green. I've been working with the editor of this collection to put on an event at my university. So I'm really excited about the fact that it's been reprinted. And if you enjoy poetry and queerness and also Irishness, then check out Queering the Green, edited by Paul Mattern.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely go check that out. As for me, you can still find me in all the usual places. The big things for me is djstormageddon.com has all of my links. Again, the Fun and Games Patreon. Since last year, we've gained 16 paid patrons and 23 total patrons. We have a free tier. So if you want to keep up with what we're doing but can't pay in for any amount, totally understandable. But at the free tier, you get access to the main podcast as well as every article I write. And every article that Jeff writes, and I'm tracking the games I beat this year there on a living document. So if you want to check any of that stuff out or haven't had a chance to check out my writing, which I've really gotten very much back into, I highly recommend going to patreon.com/funandgamespod and checking that out. There are articles in my brain about Mass Effect and BioWare and some other things. And so...
Ooh, do you want to publish my paper?
I mean, I can if you want. That's up to you.
I'll give you my paper.
I would happily publish your guest work for our patrons. If you wanted to do that, I would absolutely do that.
I mean, last year I wrote and presented a paper called Queerness, or it was about queerness in Mass Effect 2, specifically focusing on Morinth and Samara and how they are queer representation for the game. And I have a lot of opinions about how that queerness is represented. So I wrote a whole paper about it. Somebody asked me, what does this have to do with your research, Frankie? And I said, nothing. I'm just mad about it.
I will happily publish anything you want to write for the site. We are trying to treat Patreon as a website and as a solid place to go instead of X, which is on fire, and Blue Sky, which not enough people are using. And so we usually every year, for a little backstory for those who may not follow Fun and Games yet, Jeff and I usually publish our top 10 games of the year in a Twitter thread. This year we decided to write articles on the Patreon, and I had been writing a few articles before that, and it just fit the format better. I don't know if more people saw it, but it definitely fit the format better. And so we are trying to do those kinds of things. We would love to have guest publishers. We're not really sure how to partner with that yet. We are trying to figure out the best way to use our money, not only to buy better equipment for when we travel and other things, but of course pay people who do contribute to the work that we do. But Frankie, if you want to publish your paper on our Patreon, we would more than happily have it. So anyway, enough about that. Moving on from personal plugs, because I'm getting tired of hearing myself talk. We'd like to, and yet I will continue to talk. We'd like to thank Case Aiken for developing even more amazing t-shirt designs that you can find on certainpov.com or through the link there to the Teespring.
I'd like to thank Carter for marrying Case.
Also true.
We'd also like to thank Reddick Wade and Echoes of Oblivion for our theme music.
And finally, of course, we'd like to thank Red Spinks for designing our brand new, not so new logo. To see more of his work, you can go to Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
All right, everybody, that's it for us. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon. Remember, Grey Wardens.
In war, victory.
In peace, vigilance.
In death, sacrifice.
Okay,
bye!
Hey.
Oh, hey, Jeff.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
You know it.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.